Hello, and welcome to Smiley's. Tonight, we'll be discussing part two of our Stonewielder discussion after I have finished the book at last. I am joined tonight by Mora, who, as per usual, is the first time reader of the series. Hello, Mora.
Hi, what do you mean as usual? I'm just reading these novels for the first time.
Saying, I'm saying, now
Yeah.
the novels, next the novellas, and,
Y- Yeah, when we eventually come to the novellas, I'll be the rereader and
that is true.
yeah.
That is true. Very well. So, I think you have some thoughts on Stonewielder. I've noticed.
I do, yes. And I really don't know where to begin because there's so many things to discuss in the second half.
That's
So
true. Yeah, we've left a lot of things hanging because of spoilers. So, where do you want to start? Do you have any idea?
can you just tell me like how was this reread? You told me that Stonewielder is like one of your favorites among the novels.
It is. I mean, there's obviously the notion of spectacle, right? There's these big naval battles. There's the big wall that stretches like leagues on end. There's the atmosphere of the novel. The writers always are cool to look at. The reveals are really cool, most of them. And overall,
Yeah.
I like it more this time around because I can see Kyle's growth from being that snotty little shit in Return of the Prison Guard to coming into his own Stonewielder. A microcosm of Kyle's growth is Sooth in this book, which I'm going to stop saying that word now for reasons that will become obvious. So,
No, I'm not.
yeah, the Dalhon soldier grows quite a bit in this book. And while, yes,
He's
okay, sure, he's a bit of the wide-eyed recruit in basically all of Esslemont's books and have to do with the Empire. He's still interesting enough into his own, and when he comes into his own at the end and like assumes sort of a leadership role and thrust into the tunnels of Corel, and I especially like this line of "What are we gonna do with Pike? Well, I'm gonna go find and kill the bastard." That felt like growth to me. Greymane's very interesting this time around because, well, hindsight, I know what's coming. I know what he's going to do. I know what's going to happen, and I can see it happen better. One thing I noticed is that it's foreshadowed to like the point of ridicule. It's not really the prophecies are known. It's basically like watching a tragic irony at play, where you know it's going to happen. That's kind of the premise of the book, that the storm wall is eventually going to go down one way or the other because
yeah.
his name is on the title. The prophecy tied to him, the sword he has, all of that, and it doesn't matter because you view that through so many perspectives. Yule is absolutely crazy. Just gonna put that there.
Yeah.
That did not change in this reread. What did change is me noticing how much he shivers, which is very interesting. It hints at something more about Yule and how ill-prepared he is. Coon was also more sympathetic this time around than the first time, where I viewed him as kind of like this wide-eyed assessor that has no idea what he's getting into. And then he goes to jail and it's like, oh, I put all these people here. And I didn't, like, I felt like, yeah, no shit. But this time around, it's more he's trying to do the right thing and he's being hampered by a whole lot of people that he doesn't know. The guard, well, I can't really talk about the guard because spoilers, but the guard is way more interesting this time around. So,
All the
Wave
iron
Runner?
bars, shell, every. Sorry?
Yeah, yeah. There's also Wave Runner, which we're going to talk about later because there's a lot to say about him, I think, on this time around. And who have I not talked about? Kiska and Travel, right? Right.
Yeah, your favorite, yeah.
I like Kiska. I think you like Kiska as well, and I
I
like
like Kiska
Leoman.
too. Yeah, yeah.
I like Leoman in this book,
Sort of.
sort of.
Yeah, in this
Okay,
book, yes, yes. He's fine. He's fine here.
well, fine. Let's talk about that then. Oh, we have to start somewhere.
Uh, I would rather start with Warren, Shadow Throne.
Yes.
Oh God, that was a good reveal, yeah. Because it's so obvious. I mean, I did think this guy is acting too much like Kellen Wedd and all that. But then, yeah, it's that's too ridiculous. He's not going to go hang around in the shadow realm and try to help these people, find Tatian and all that. So it felt too absurd, and so I didn't think of the theory much. But yeah, it turns out it's Shadow Throne, and the clues are there, isn't it? He gets angry that the abyss has taken part of the shadow realm. I don't know. I found all that very funny.
There's the funny bits of him. I think we talked about this before with the
Yeah,
fish
yeah.
and his parables, and how he gets pissed at Leosin for insinuating that he's a usurper. Like, no, guys,
Yeah.
the house is empty. I just became his newest resident. There's him going incorporeal at some point, which, yeah, okay, fine. And as you read through Warren's sections, eventually it settles in that maybe this guy is not insane, and that's kind of the problem. If this guy is not nuts, he could be very dangerous. Because I think Kiska and Trevor like watch him get impaled by a spear, and he just gets up and is like, yeah,
Yeah.
just squeeze me or something.
Yeah.
That's when it starts setting in for Kiska as well. Like, hang on, this guy might not be nuts, and then we'd be in trouble. Which is kind of the issue with Kelvin himself, that he might not be nuts, which is a far more dangerous and sinister idea than he is nuts. And I like the
Yeah.
fact that that is never actually explored, if Kelvin is actually insane or not. I love that. I adore it, and I love that Cameron is like dedicated to this bit of keeping him in the shadows. Pun intended.
Yeah.
So
Right. So this the Leosan fighting the void. I'm not very clear on what exactly they're fighting. Do we see more of them later?
well, they win ostensibly by the end, but it's not entirely clear. It's like the same thing as all the hounds ending. Like, what the fuck are they fighting inside the like? They're fighting chaos. What is chaos? Kiska says something along the
Yeah.
lines of chaos is stuff, just not stuff I would call ordered. And
Yeah, like the unformed things and something. Yeah.
it's something. It's I view it as green like goo and essence and stuff floating around. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I think chaos is meant to be difficult to visualize on purpose. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you may recall who actually caused the chaos world to spawn into existence.
Yath, don't we
Yeah.
see him?
Yes. Yathinger from.
And he's I forgot that he was a Faladin of in Seven Cities, and that's where Leoman bows to him and all that. So
because he couldn't help but stay true to his character.
oh yeah, sure.
I love Leoman. I'm sorry. He's great.
Yeah. Except when he's not.
Except when he's not. When he's a war criminal and he's a Torab. Okay, we talked about this last time. We're not going to talk about it again.
Okay, I think we can come out of the shadow realm. There's so much more to
Yep, certainly. And there's more to Kiska and Leoman, obviously. So yeah.
We do see them again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean they're in chaos, whatever now. So unless they're stuck there for all eternity, they have something has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they find Tishan. I'd like to see him back. Right? I know you can't respond now, so let's move on. So, right, the big reveal that the lady is a part or a manifestation or something to do with the crippled god. That was amazing. Oh, that was really, really amazing because it made so much sense. And yeah, I was shocked. And yeah, go on.
I read Stonewielder after the Hounds and was very interested in seeing what this reveal has to do with the ending of the Crippled God. I was not disappointed, I will say, but this is more important to the novels rather than the Book of the Fallen, to put it that way. What's interesting is Skinner's cameo in the Sky Tower.
Yeah.
With the Corellery, which, by the way, all the Corellery, like 400 of them are dead. Right, all of them on the Sky Tower just died, and I'm not even sure if it's explained in this book how they died. So that's just a showcase of Skinner's power.
Oh, I thought all the deaths at the end are just just floods. Just floods came and everyone died. No?
I don't remember the exact scene. I mean, there's like a scene where Bars, Shell, Blues, and the others leave by Warren. Skinner's already left, and it just cuts up to the only thing left of this tower is like the silence, like a tower and like 400 dead storm guard, which I found to be eerie as fuck. But anyway.
No, talking of eerie as fuck things, there's just one scene here which that gave me nightmares. Yeah. Do you want to just explain this sick scene about iron bars?
Talk about it now?
We might as well finish it off.
All right. Okay. Well, basically, so
the sick, disgusting. I can't believe I told in the last episode that it's okay. It's just like surgery.
So, yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is that Ussu is actually very interesting because, in a way, it is his sections are his descent to madness. And eventually he snaps. He snaps Duel, who like says, "No, the lady has driven you mad," or something, and you're bullshitting and all of that. And then eventually he drowns because he gets hit by the flood that Ussu warned him about right in here.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
has had to endure Yule's antics. He's had to endure NSJ's antics. A lot of people, because he's the advisor to the Overlord, not the highest-ranking individual in the army. But he's also
You
one of
know
the more.
what? You know
Yes,
what? Can we not justify this man's sick actions, please?
I'm getting to it.
Yeah, because yeah. Sorry, go on.
And on the one hand, you have the desire to reach out into his warren, which he cannot do. And we have seen from, say, the pit and the Ethereal Mines that when a mage loses access to their warren for too long, they go crazy. They go nuts.
Yeah,
The other thing is, he still could just embrace the lady, say, "Yeah, fine, I'll worship you," and have all the more power that he ever wanted at his fingertips immediately. But that's dangerous because, well, the lady, as we can probably tell by now, is not the most benevolent entity in the world.
yeah,
And so Ussu has to choose a middle ground, almost quite literally. Uh, so, yeah, and he keeps justifying this to himself and nationalizing it, even when the lady allows him to use his warren, because, well, because especially with an avowed like ours, he says, "Imagine how much the Empire would pay to have a living avowed to study."
yeah.
And so at that point, when he gets to bars and he has him on the table and whatnot, and can do whatever, it's, well, for one, there's all the suffering Bar has already endured on the wall. Is not great because, well, we've already talked about how shitty Bars looks on the wall and how depressed he is and how horrible he feels and how he almost chokes out Shell.
Yeah,
Jesus. And then this happens because poor guy kind of gets a break. So to get it over with, he channels his warrant. He sees a flood going on. He leaves the room to go warn Yule. Yule tells him to go fuck himself or something. And he returns, and by the time he returns, Greymane has already caused an earthquake, which has broken the bindings. And Ussu,
yeah,
instead of running away like a sane human being would do, decides to go back in, despite the fact that the bindings don't hold him, and don't hold bars anymore, because he needs this thing. He needs his warren. He needs power. And so Bars kills him in probably what is the most satisfying death since Pitfall, I'd say, because
no. Oh, this is just sickening. No,
it is also sickening. Yeah, it is quite sickening.
I nearly stopped reading because as you say, you know where Greyman is headed, isn't it? Throughout the
Mm-hmm.
book, and then eventually it happens, and yeah, it's nice. Here, you are told, repeatedly that this is going to happen. He is going to take an award, and it's probably going to be iron bars and all that. You sort of know it's going to happen, but once the scene started, I I nearly stopped. I couldn't continue. No, not iron bars. My God. But yeah, yeah, and this the death was fine, but you know what really made me nauseous in this part? I don't know if I should even bring it up because it was really bad. After this guy dies, Usu dies, he has to remove his hand from inside his chest cavity. Do you know? You
Yeah.
remember that scene? Oh God, I was
Yes.
sick. That was not sickening. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, so that is bad. And so now the word crying is like a trigger word for me.
My favorite bit about that is like after that scene ends, Blues walks in, looks at Bars. They share a moment of contact, and
Mm.
like first thing Bars says is, "Don't fucking touch me." Like Bars is a wreck
Oh
after this.
yeah. Oh yes. Oh yeah.
He is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an absolute wreck, and it seems that he just got away with it with like just a flesh wound or whatever. But any man, any sane, non-avowed human being in Barnes' position would go like crazy immediately, just from the wall, or
Yeah.
just from what Us did to him, or a combination of both. It's Barnes' incredible mental fortitude that even allows him to pull through even slightly, and even then he almost doesn't.
Yeah. It's almost like this gave him some motivation to keep living. Probably on the wall he would have just faded away. Yeah, I
I
just have
think.
one doubt though.
Hmm.
What happened to those retractors? He opened his chest and put this thing like retractor things.
I'm guessing he pulled them out. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't
It's
pay
not
enough attention to
mentioned,
know.
so my mind was stuck there. Like, what happened to that? Is it still there? Has it gone? Who removed it?
I think
Yeah.
his dress is bandaged at the end, so they probably removed
At the
it.
end, I mean, he had to remove it to get up and walk around, probably. But yeah, yeah. Sorry, extremely small thing to focus on. Right, we are done with that, and we are never ever talking that again. And I'm going to
No,
skip that when
no,
I'm going to read again.
I agree.
Yeah, sorry, you had
I'm
something more?
no, no, no. I agree. I agree with not talking about it again. Well, there
Yeah,
is one
you
little
know,
thing more that we can add
yeah.
about what Ussu sees once he dies. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. You guys told me this. Yeah, that there is some big mystery, and I'm getting tired of this mystery. Okay, I'm sorry because you guys are hyping it so much. I something to do with the A word, and there is something something great going on, and nobody's
It's
going to
not
tell me anything because it's a huge spoiler. I'm just going to wait. I'm
really
just going to. Yeah, sorry.
supposed to be a mystery. Because like Nif basically told us that at the end of a sale, just like Cam spells it out for you in case you didn't get it so far. You know,
Yeah,
but
I think.
it
Yeah,
it's not really meant to be a mystery. I think you can figure it out even now.
that's just worse. You're not making me feel better. No.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it it will make sense eventually. You know, the next book isn't
Yeah,
even concerned with Avowed, so we don't need to hear about that. It's fine.
right. Yeah. Oh, right. So what's next?
Since we're talking about Avowed anyway, let's talk about Shell, Blues, Figures, and Lazar.
Didn't we talk about them extensively last time? Because
Well, we did,
yeah,
and then they arrived on the wall, and then we didn't.
yeah. So yeah, they're amazing as usual.
Oh,
I don't know. I like
from
Shell a lot. We had
yeah,
Shimmer last time
Shell is
in
great.
Return of the Crimson Guard. Here we have Shell. Yeah.
Shell's talk with like Anna, I think it is, about like how she's getting old.
Oh yeah. You know what? Yeah, those are all those small hints that I don't know. It's all adding to the mystery part where Shimmer was losing time. I think in the last book, and now
Hmm.
in Shell is sort of thinking like what is she doing and what happened to her and
Maybe I have spent too much time in a mercenary company, and then she headbutts a
yeah,
Coral or
yeah,
Stormguard in the face, which is like
yeah.
yes,
Yeah, you were talking something about Cam rights women who are very
yes.
brutal
I
and
think
it's always
I
fun.
think
Yeah,
yeah, it's like comes women just don't take shit from anybody.
yeah, yeah.
Blues is fuck. Blues is hilarious in this book. I think Blues is like very, very great in any book he appears in, but especially this one
Yeah.
because,
He has this great
well,
fight scene, isn't
yeah,
it, with one of the guards? Was it with Quint or just some
yeah,
random
yeah.
guy? With Quint,
It was
okay.
Quint who was possessed by the lady.
Was it? Oh, was that a possession? I thought she just gave him some extra
Call it
powers or
the
something.
lady's grace.
Grace. Yeah, yeah.
And then Shell thinks, well, I'd call it possession, but they call it the grace.
Oh, okay. So yes, so that's how the lady has all this extra power. You know what? If people read Stonewielder before Dust of Dreams, the good thing is it adds to this antagonism you're going to feel towards the crippled god. So
Yeah,
I think
that's
the
true.
final book would have made much more impact because without these novels, I think by the time of what Memories of Ice, somewhere you start feeling that this is we're just I think it's Reaper's Gale when Ruland is also somewhat redeemed, and that's when I started. I think I even texted my friend that is the final going to be about feeling compassion to the crippled god? How is that even possible, or something like that? So you sort of start feeling sympathetic to him. But something like Stonewielder in the middle, I think that would add, to the time to actually see the atrocities he has done.
Well, to be fair, I read this book before Dust of Dreams, and I did not know what the fuck was going on in Dust of Dreams until I got like to chapter 20. And
Hmm.
then I didn't believe it, and then I read the last book. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So yes, I can confirm what you're saying. This did indeed happen to me.
Yeah, because to me it just felt straightforward. Yeah, we're going there. We're going to redeem some people and all that. But this actually shows his atrocities like in a black and white way. There's no middle ground here. The lady, regardless of what her power is or whether she's actually him, whether she's actually crippled god, It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
The things which have been done are, really, really bad. And for so long, for so many centuries, isn't it? So it
Yeah,
would have added more to the final book, I feel. Stonewielder.
I agree.
Let's talk about Stonewielder. So that's how he gets the sword. It's just something from the ground. He just gets it from, from earth. Oh, that was very nice.
There is a mention that it is one of a kind, excepting one other artifact, which is implied to be Brood's hammer,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
which
Yeah.
I found to be very interesting.
Cam writes weapons really well, isn't it? We can just agree on that. I
Uh,
mean,
Shimmer's whip sword.
yeah,
Shimmer's
yeah,
whip sword from Return of the Crucible is probably my favorite weapon, Malazan.
right.
Greymane's sword is amazing. Leomund's motif with like the morning star suddenly appearing in his hands is great. Uh,
Kiska has just a staff, isn't it? It's not a spear or anything. It's just a staff.
it's a stave, which is I think.
Stave.
Hang
Sorry.
on,
Yeah.
what does stave mean? Hang on. I looked this up before. Yeah, it's basically a it's like a plank, so to speak, which I think holds. I think also has a dagger or something or a knife. But yeah,
No.
Shmuel has had a baton to beat people up over the head with.
and
So
at Dragnipur, is it Dragnipur camps
yeah,
area?
Dragon Force sounds idea. Yep, yep.
Yeah. So he's a weapons master of Malazan. But no, the next time I see any of his interviews, I'm going to just keep thinking this is a guy who wrote that scene about bars.
Oh come
I'm
on,
sorry, I
you're
can't
not.
get over
It's
that.
not even. It's fine.
Yeah, sorry.
It happens. All right,
Huh.
so yeah, let's talk about Greymane.
Yeah.
What is there to talk about? What isn't there to talk about Greymane?
So who did he betray again?
I
Who did he
don't know.
not betray again is what Kyle should be asking.
Yeah, yeah,
See, the thing you sorry, yeah, can I just quickly talk about Kyle?
yeah, yeah. Please,
Because
please
he
do.
is not a boring character in any way. And even here, he's just a young fellow. He's just followed Greyman. He's, just quit the mercenary company and roaming around doing stuff. And uh, he's he stands up to Greyman throughout, isn't it? Even from the what this fencing tutorial company something. Even there, he is. I don't know. He calls out Greyman on all his bullshit. So he's not a boring guy. He's not. He's not some spineless, wide-eyed, innocent guy. He's quite okay. And so it was very natural that he becomes the adjunct and people start following him, following his orders and all that. And yeah, so that was great to see Grayman through Kyle's eyes and to see Kyle through the other guy, the
Relish.
Malazans. Yeah, sorry.
No, oh, the Dalhon guy.
Yeah, the Dalhon guy. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, yeah, okay. I thought you meant Relish.
Relish and Kyle have a nice chemistry too, isn't it?
It is a very interesting relationship because Relish, he thinks that if he was like any younger or a different guy, he would feel extremely envious of Kyle, but now just is resigned to his fate because yeah, you know what? I deserve this. I did betray Greymane once. He should be pissed at me.
No, the Relish is extremely relatable to me. I don't know why, because he's so tired of everything. He's
He's
so
too old for this shit. That's his
yeah. That's
vibe.
how. Yes, that is so good. And where something like whenever Kyle offers him help, he thinks, is this to undermine me, or is he like actually trying to be nice and trying to help me? Things like that. It's very very nice, very understandable, and that's why my my big disappointment that this guy didn't die. Yeah, sorry. I think you liked it that Relish came home, came back to
Yeah,
his family.
I mean, he
Yeah,
has two. He has like four kids,
three. He has
and
twins and one kid. I
okay,
mean,
fine, has three kids, and a loving wife.
yeah, but
Come on.
he fell over the cliff while fighting somebody, and then he falls into the water, and we all feel bad. I might have cried, and then all of a sudden he's pulled up by some fishermen and gets sent home. Sorry, why did I cry? Yeah,
That
I
is
don't
fair.
like. Yeah,
I don't like fake out this either, but I don't care because it's Relish. You know, it's like I make an exception because it's Relish.
I can't make an exception because it's Relish because I like the character so much. I before starting Stonewielder, I asked Zil, is Relish going to live or die? Because that's a big question I had, before starting. So yeah, he lives and I'm not happy. So I don't know what to tell you.
Jesus.
Yeah,
We were talking about Greymane, by the way.
finally, yeah.
So who has Greymane betrayed? The Malazans
The
to some extent.
Malazans, the other Malazans.
The other Malazans, the Corellery, because he controlled the enemies. The Riders, because he didn't do as they asked the first time around. Uh, uh, I think that's it.
Relish to some extent because he can be upfront with him and say, I'm trying to save your ass, so I'm going to be, don't get too attached to me. He could have just said that.
Well, he could also have just said it to Kyle, but he didn't.
He didn't tell anyone, isn't it? Probably he tells
Yeah, that's
Devil
the
at,
point.
at the end.
Yeah, he does.
And yeah, can I just add one thing here? Even Devileth didn't die. Like, what's the point?
Why would Devileth die?
Because she had that pressure syndrome something.
You don't die from the compression sickness with medical help
You do
immediately.
die, yeah. Oh God, it's okay.
No.
I have to look up. I think people die.
Yeah, maybe if you're like away and you drown because you go unconscious, not when you're
No,
on
no,
board of
no.
a ship.
No, wait, just give me a minute. I'm looking up. Yeah, it's a rare cause of death. It's possible. So who saves her if she doesn't die?
I don't know, a healer, probably.
Yeah, who is the healer there in Coral? Who is able to access his warren and
The
all that?
lady's gone by the time Devileth does her thing.
So there are line of healers waiting around
Okay,
on the
alright,
ships.
more or less I don't care. Okay, I'm personally attached to this because there is an island in Greece that has a long-standing tradition of diving and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's vastly more likely that Devileth is paralyzed to some extent than that Devileth dies. Why would she die?
No, but she went extremely deep underwater. It's not like like normal diving, isn't it?
Well, she got the bends, not, drowning.
Yeah, we are still talking about the bends, but there has to be some difference between a sudden transition from, say, what, 10,000 feet? I'm just throwing a number here. From that deep underwater to suddenly surface atmosphere, there has to be some difference. Okay, why are we spending so much time on this?
Because you're a doctor, a worried lady, you're like stuck up in the weirdest things.
People die. Oh, that's it. And here people don't die. And yeah, I'm sick because I'm disappointed.
Mora's discourse on Stonewielder, guys. People die, but in this book, people don't die.
I mean, and yeah, can I just say that Martel dying is really no, that was not nice. She shouldn't have died, and it was just I didn't expect her to die, because I think somewhere down the line somebody says it's just a small wound, and she could have lived if they had a dental healer somewhere nearby. So that was an unnecessary death. And in Malazan, at least we don't see stab injuries causing death, isn't it?
She got like half her torso slashed open.
But she was still alive the next day, isn't it? She lived a
Well,
whole day.
pale white from blood loss.
Yeah, so she died of those things, and somebody
Yes.
could have intervened, in the middle, in the first day or something. Still, yeah, that was an unnecessary death, and she was a
We're discussing the weirdest things when we're not. Okay, no, I'm not for this. It's fine. Go on. Please go on.
yeah, that's it. So she died, and I'm sad. Yeah.
Okay, so Relish doesn't die and you're angry, but Martel dies and you're sad.
Martel is amazing. I mean, see, Relish is amazing too, but Martel is really good. And then you find out that she's from Kontalia and all that. So that was nice. She was a
Yes,
good foil for Ivan, and I was hoping that
yes.
I was shipping them, not Leoman and Kiska.
Of course you were.
Like, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I?
So yeah, okay, fine. So,
We're still trying to talk about Greyman. I think
yes, I want to talk about Greyman because I
I'm going
want
to
to
keep
ask.
quiet, and I'm going to let you talk.
No, I want to ask you. What do you think about Greyman's actions?
His which exactly the bringing down the wall action.
All about it, because you saw him in Return of the Crimson Guard, and this is not how he was in Return of the Crimson Guard.
Yeah, because he's torn between these two choices, isn't it? Cause harm now for a long term, for the good of many, or try to keep the status quo, which is still killing people, but only to a small extent. So it's a hard choice, and at least he makes it at the end. And I don't know how this worked out. Did like Malikral know that Greymane is supposed to? He's the one who wields this weapon, and he might bring down the wall, and that's why he's sent there. I don't know.
I
It could
think
all.
so.
I mean, if Shadow Throne knows what's going on, and they are aware, these other gods are aware that the lady is some part of the crippled god, then maybe they contrived all this, to get Greymane back near the wall, so that ultimately
Hmm.
there wasn't any a precipitating factor to make him bring down the wall in that moment. It's just because he was going there, and so he decided to bring it down, isn't it? That's the way I saw
Well,
it.
well,
He would have been
I
happy in
think,
Falar probably, teaching
yeah,
teaching fencing and whatever.
he talks about this is how it's been a choice that has tormented him for years, and it's a choice he should have made years ago and stuff. And he's been running away from it long enough, and eventually now he feels like it's time enough because okay, I'm already here, might as well. And in some sense, he believes he's here because the gods willed it so. Because well, you're Stonewielder, you must do this, you know. Which yeah, he must to some extent.
So
But
his yeah.
well, Greymane and his actions make a great segue to Hiam, I think, and his death. So we learn from Hiam's perspective that the lady created the wall from whoever the guy's name was. I don't remember what the name was. The guy that created the wall the
Telam
first time.
Telam
Temal, I
Irsha.
don't know.
Temal,
Doesn't
yeah.
matter. It does not matter. Temal,
It,
sure.
yeah,
Um,
as the minute you forget that name, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, sure, yeah. Thank you very much, Mora, for reminding me that the name is actually Tamal. Created the wall because he was manipulated by the lady, um, because blood sacrifice wards off the riders from killing her. Now, Hiam's death is very tragic because in his eyes, what he has done and what Quint has done and what every other Lord Protector throughout history for 4,800 years has been doing is considered to be a noble act of devotion that fuels this notion of reciprocity that the Corvellery seem to have with the lady. And so to see that betrayed because she doesn't actually protect us, we're protecting ourselves, and she just is there reaping the fruit of our labor.
It's more like we are protecting her at the cost of themselves. Yeah, sorry, continue.
And that breaks him. And that, in and of itself, is sort of a justification for Crayman's actions because whatever entity built this wall, it's simply an altar for blood sacrifice to ward off the riders from, well, her.
Yeah.
So
So just calling the wall as an altar, I don't think it's in the book, isn't it? I must have seen it in some discussion or heard somewhere, but
I
that
don't
is it in the
remember.
book?
I don't remember at all.
Because that makes so much sense, isn't it? This entire stretch of wall is just a huge altar to her. It's such an epic thing to read about. So now that the wall is down, what's going to happen?
Well, we are told there's tsunamis, you know. We see the tsunami the first time. I think you pointed this out, right? That there was a tsunami in the first place when the wall came down to
Yeah,
start the book.
yeah, and yeah, the book
And
ends with
ends
another
with a
tsunami.
tsunami. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really cool. That is really cool.
yeah.
But it also renders like the entire continent of Corel, excepting the highlands, uninhabitable for the next few years, decades, centuries, whatever.
I don't know. Is it? Do we come back to Coral again?
We do not because half it is flooded.
No, because I'm saying that it won't be that bad because we've seen real tsunamis in the world and they don't become uninhabitable for like centuries and all. It's just
I think
the
the difference is because of how high the wall became, and essentially it functions as a dam. And when you raise the dam, the sea level rises along with it. And so to reach equilibrium, when the dam breaks, because of the way the sword works, the dam breaks in its entirety throughout the entire length in like a day. So such degree of catastrophic failure leads to not just a tsunami that swoops the land, then okay, fine, it's fine, but like all of the island of Corelre is probably going to be partially underwater. I don't think the same is true of like Jaston and Durkan and Jurland where Evan is, but all of Corelre is basically underwater now.
probably, yeah. But do
Which
we
is
come
a
back to the
shame.
continent at all? No.
We do not. I said I not yet. well, we do come back to Stratum, which is below the ice range, but not Corel itself.
Okay.
Which brings us next to the theme of martyrhood. I think is
No, before
I
that,
call it sacrifice. You call it martyrhood. I think it's
do
better.
I? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, can I just ask you where exactly Ivan's story went? Because it's completely geographically removed from the rest of the story. So I don't really see what is the connection about what's happening there. Is it? You told me that this is a completely thematic plot.
Yeah.
So.
There's a very obvious thematic tie-in of the priestess, of foreign faiths invading and trying to undermine the lady, and essentially, it's faith, right? It's a discourse on faith, martyr figures, the deliverer, what Ivan becomes the deliverer, and throughout all of this, Ivan is conflicted. He is reluctant because this is not something he wants to take on. And I think one more thing that's important to realize about this is something that is completely unrelated to the storyline, and something that Ipshank tells Rillish, that I wish I could tell you were special, but you're not. You're just here, and you're the only person that can do this. And the same is true of Ivan and the priestess and Benneth. Okay, maybe not Benneth.
Yeah.
Benneth's pretty special, but the same can be said of like Martel, who's a Malazan and has military experience. Basically, the only person that can lead an army. But you replace Martel with any other Malazan commander, and the same thing happens. So these people are not special, and yet they still put their own lives on the line. They endanger themselves to overthrow the faith of the lady, on the one hand, and also they're called the Army of Reform, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, there's sort of a revolutionary undertone of we're trying to reform the government of like Juruland to stop persecutions, institute polytheism, religious freedom, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And so it's basically just different peoples and different groups fighting against the lady in their own ways. You have the Synod of Stig with Gosh and Hodson and
Yeah.
whatnot
Dodson, Carfin, Jewel. Yeah. Yeah.
fighting against the lady more directly. You have Benneth, who literally fights against the lady all his life. You have Greymane, who brings down the wall so that the riders may get to the lady. You have Ibshang and Rillish. All of those groups are connected. Yeah, all those groups are connected because they're trying to fight the lady. And while some of them are more direct, because we follow them throughout and they're connected to the main quote-unquote story, well, Ivan isn't, but he still ties in through the fact that he's fighting the lady actively and also fighting her adherents. And it is a great testament to the fact that faith, you have the faith to the lady, which is indulging in excesses. We highlighted the epigraph of chapter 5 earlier about enlightening people with
they got with
fire and
flame
sword.
yeah.
We've seen so many different atrocities committed in the lady's name. We even see how the Stormwall is a big altar. And then you have this, the faith of December, faith that preaches non-violence, having to fight and commit violence so as to be able to survive and preach in peace. And it is that faith that gives power to these people to continue the fight. And it is it is one thing that Cam does really well, I think, with his themes, approaching them from multiple angles and multiple perspectives, so that you get a much better idea of the different. It never feels to me like it's taking a particular stance on the matter. No character at any point feels like a caricature is like, I'm going to make sacrifices to the lady today. Yeah. No, Hiam is genuinely believing in his cause, and it evokes sympathy for him.
Yeah.
The only person who feels like a caricature is Totten, because Totten's a dipshit and no one likes him, literally.
Yeah, but then it's not very far removed from reality, people like that. Just because
I mean, yeah, that's
because
true.
he is not invited to the thing, so he just makes a deal with the lady. It's pretty believable. So I like the way Ivan's story ended with this new recruit and him. They start building a place, isn't it, for the new religion?
Yeah.
And it was nice.
It's like, okay, yeah, but we'll have training grounds to do short fights with. No, God, no, none of this anymore. I'm not touching that anymore. No.
Yeah, he's a pacifist, and yeah, he's very nice. But he used to. He escaped the. Oh, sorry.
He just
Sorry.
wants to tend his garden. That's all.
Yeah, he wants to. Yeah, he wants a garden. Oh, didn't he escape from the wall, or did he stand there as a champion for some time?
He never went to the wall. He was supposed
Okay.
to.
Okay, he
He was
kept
the champion
escaping.
of the Jurland Games. They were to send him to the wall, and he got away, and now he lives in the
Right.
countryside.
Yeah, yeah. I know. It was very nice, and all the thing about the priestess, they try
Yes.
to burn her, and then the wood doesn't catch fire. So he knows that this
Hmm.
myth is being born right in front of his eyes.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And don't we have a very similar scene later with Ipshank, where they try to burn another priestess, some lady,
Oh yeah, with
Hannah?
Ella. Yeah, the it's not similar in the sense that well, I think the difference is the thing with the priestess is she's a borderline mythical figure among the pilgrims of the Arm of Reform,
Yeah.
and it's very nice to have a grounding perspective of like Ivan, who's just like all I see is just a life that was thrown away, a young life just
Why did she
died.
comply? Yeah, that's the
Why
line I
did she?
highlighted.
And that is amazing. It is so
Yeah,
good to point out the irony of people like saying divine intervention. Didn't allow the yeah, but she still got her head chopped off and put on a bike.
yeah. Oh,
What does it matter? She still died. Her life was still cut off short, and that is great writing. It is a
yeah.
great grounding.
I mean, I didn't have any problem reading Ivan's sections because he is great. His internal monologues are great. All the fighting they do with the cavalry charges and this peasant army taking up, you know, that was really good to read. So I don't have a complaint there, but I just didn't see how it fit into the big story.
I also think one more thing to highlight about Ivan is he never broke his oath to never kill people. He never did.
He killed horses though.
Yeah, well, yeah. He said that his oath didn't. Yeah, fine, but still. And I
Yeah, I
respected the
mean, as
man.
far as possible, he tried. Yeah, he tried. So
So yeah. And
no,
one last thing before we move on, since you brought up
just
Martel earlier.
can I just
Yes, sorry.
because I
Yes,
was
please.
trying to make a parallel between
Yes.
that priestess
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
be burnt on a
yep,
stake
yep,
and another
yep,
one here. So
yep.
she becomes a myth, and even though this lady survives, I think Ipshank sends her, to meet the other recruits or something outside the city, and she'll be taken there, and she can continue the religion there. So it is two types of myths being born. Just one died, and the other survived. So I don't know. It's a nice way to see the way religion and this type of legends begin. So sorry, that was all the point I wanted to make. You wanted something interesting?
Well, what I wanted to add is that if you recall, there's a discussion between Martel and Ivan about him not being able to kill, and Martel says something along the lines of "I will be the scourge of everything. Let the
Yeah,
Black Queen be stained with blood," and stuff like that. That was fucking cool. That was great. That was amazing.
yeah. It
It's
was a
just
little sad though,
it was
because
a little sad. That's the point.
yeah.
And I think
But
that's the
I like the way
tie-in.
she shut him down. I don't have time to reassure every jumpy, jumpy soldier or something. When Ivan starts, questioning her like what's going on and all that. So that
Yeah.
was great. I like Martel. So right, what do we have left?
Well, there's the inappropriate name guy, the Dalhon.
Yeah, you know what? Nobody's going to understand what we mean here.
Do you want to explain what we mean here?
I don't.
We're gonna keep calling him the Dalhon then.
Right. So, how the sea folk survive the tsunami? Uh,
Um, I'm not sure.
Oh, at the end, when the tsunami starts coming, when the wave recedes,
Yes.
in the prologue, the fisherman is just dumbfounded and he has no idea what's going to happen. But here,
Mm-hmm.
these sea folk they know what's going to happen, so they just ride out the wave. Basically, they just ride out the tsunami wave, and most of them survive, including Enna and the child.
Mm-hmm.
So just one thing, there are these Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Have you heard? It's like part of India. They're just small islands, mostly. I don't know. I think out of some 500 land masses, I think some 30 are inhabited or something. So tsunami hit it very hard. The 2004 tsunami hit these islands very hard, and I don't know. I think like lots of people died except for some tribals. The kind of tribals who have no contact with the civilization. There are some very remote tribes there, and I believe most of them survived because they had this oral knowledge that if the sea recedes, you just have to run. So they knew what's going to happen as soon as the sea started receding. So I don't know. It was nice to see, and maybe that was one of the reasons that this scene was included about the sea folk. So
Yeah, who doesn't understand what the serious eating means? The invaders. There are invaders, and there are invaders. There's Yule, who doesn't get it because he thinks Ussu's bullshitting him, he's going crazy. And there's also the Corellery, who are just dumbfounded. Like, there's scenes in the villages where the Corellery are just looking at, like, what the fuck is going on here? And there's description like fish by the basketful. Like, oh my god, there's so many, and then they just get flooded.
have you looked up all the tsunami things from 2004 by any chance?
I have not. I'm ashamed to admit that the only reason I know of the Andaman Islands is because of a Verne story where they're portrayed as cannibals. So,
Oh,
is
of that
that?
story, yeah. They are cannibals. They're not portrayed as cannibals.
I think it's like, I don't remember. It's like been like 10 years since I learned that book. I don't remember.
No, no, it was like that. People did not know. We did not know the word tsunami till it happened.
Yeah, yeah, that
So,
makes sense.
so it was a huge thing. It was weird. It changed so many things all around, and nobody knew what was happening. The
Mm-hmm.
death toll was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We can come
Hmm.
back to the pod.
All right. So, what actually is there to talk about again? Sarah, I would like to hear what your thoughts are, because we already talked about this, but there are a few scenes about the Avowed, and what do you think about them before
I
we move
think
on?
I think they're cool. They're fine.
No, I
They
mean,
are
and do
extremely
you have any
powerful.
theories?
I don't know. I don't have a single
You
theory
don't?
because
Really?
what do
Okay,
I?
I mean, I'm surprised. Usually you have theories, but who will die and stuff.
Oh, who is going to die? I I don't think any
Usually
of
you
the
have theories about this kind of thing, not, specifically about the Avowed, just in general, you
the
have
thing
theories
is,
about stuff.
can I just say that because I did not know that this is something to be theorized about the A word, because I thought the story is just going on, and at some point they're just going to think, yeah, yeah, maybe we should just stop, following this war, and let's just give up. I think I told you, I told you this. So that's my theory, that at some point they're just going to stop following the war for some reason, and yeah, so they'll just give it up. Like the Tilanimas, they'll try to go to oblivion. Is that a theory? That is a
I
theory.
suppose it is. It is a theory indeed.
But I don't know where are the rest of them. Like, we've only seen these few,
Yeah,
and I
the
think
others are in another book. So
okay. So, like, I really did not know that it is something to be thought about. I did not. I just thought it's they're just there, and it's they're just. I did not
yeah, they
know
have,
that
they swore a vow 100 years ago, and they're indestructible. They're just the normal things in Malice,
it's
apparently.
like Tilalimas. Yeah, yeah. You have 100 people all around. So, what's so special about them? Apparently, something is there. So, I'll find out. But
Right.
so yeah, so we don't know anything about Coral. We don't know whether we're coming back. So I was curious to know whether the surviving Malazans stay and try to rule it, or they just go back to
Um.
Malik realm.
So obviously, Greymane is dead, or in some definition of dead.
Not, yeah, yeah,
Okay, well, he is dead technically.
fine, okay.
It says he never drew another breath, so he's probably dead. Just he's the guardian in case the lady comes back, put in place by someone for his own reasons. Male. um. So
That is going to be so hard to edit.
keep the cough in. It's like that's the point. Keep the cough in.
Yeah, I know. Thanks.
So
So Grayman is dead, not dead.
well, Greymane's quasi alive. Relish is back home. Kyle is
Yeah,
going to his own home. Yule is dead. Basically, all of um, the Renegade Mala 6 is dead.
yeah.
The Black Morant are leaving the Blues. So there's basically no Malazan presence on the island anymore, so I think they just left it to its own fate.
Hmm. What about the people who found high grounds, like the Shul? I wasn't the Shul who was told to find high
Yeah, he
grounds and stay
was.
there.
He was, yeah. I'm not sure about him.
So they might stay back and try to rule the rest of the place. So I'm not sure.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, you know what I'm more curious about than the AWOD and the Crimson Guard? I want to know more about the riders.
Hmm.
Like, what is up with them? What's going on with them? How are they so against the cripple god? And there is some kind of hints of nobility to them because they're saluting and things like that. And now the wall is down, so I don't know what they're going to do next. Or maybe they just go back because the crippled god, whatever the power is broken. So I'm not sure. I'm much more curious to see what their origin is and how they came across. Do we find answers to that?
Uh,
Yes and no.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Thanks. Yeah, sure.
So the gist is that Edgewalker calls him alien.
Yeah.
There is I guess, a theory or I'm not sure actually what the fuck it is. Well, basically, it's implied that they're from the same realm as the crippled god
Is it?
in some extent. They are definitely not from this world.
I thought they are more like the Teist Leosan or something because their features are similar to Teist is what Shell thinks.
Yeah,
So that's why that's what Edgewalker means when he says they're aliens because they came from a different realm like all the other Teist.
it's not really entirely clear where they're from. I don't know if I don't know if they're dice. I don't know. I call them Disney or whatever.
Yeah, you can call it. Yeah.
But whatever the case, they don't like the crippled god because, well, the crippled god is also alien to the realm, and also he, well, I guess Lloyd fights against some of the crippled god himself, and it's very clear that they're intelligent, right? You said they have a sense of nobility. They know Corel, they know Talion from Night of Knives, I think.
Not Italian. I
They
think they talk corollary there.
say, hang on, look it up.
Yeah,
You
look
might
it
be
up.
right.
I'm sure I'm right.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah, I speak Corel. Okay. So they have learned the Corellan tongue, right? They know how to speak Corelli, and they have tried in the past to make agreements with the Corellery, but obviously not heeded because the lady exists. They have made an agreement with Greymane, and ostensibly, they may or may not have had a right. So they found the sword that they gave Greymane in the bottom of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And there's no storms. So it's not entirely clear how they got it. My theory is just Byrne gave it to them as a sign of good faith, I guess, to excise the rot that is the crippled god from Corel. So
That makes sense
despite the yeah.
because one is Brute's hammer and the other is, this sword. So it makes sense that Byrne must have given it to them.
Yeah, I agree. So at any rate, they're not from this realm, but I think Erickson and Cam are both holding their background and their origins very close to their chest, which is a bit frustrating because come on, they're fucking awesome.
No, I'm just extremely curious about the riders more than all these other things, all the other mysteries. Do you want to talk about Ipshang?
Sure.
I mean, there's nothing much to talk about Ipshang because we really want to talk about Manask.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let's talk about Manask. Sure.
Oh
Get
yeah,
into it.
just
Come on.
sorry. Yeah, Manask is amazing. He's like he's like a better version of all the other guys we see, like Shadow Throne and Iskarel Quest and all that, because he has the same tone. And Krupp, yeah, he has the same tone of talking about himself. Look at me, I'm going to do this. I found Manask extremely hilarious. But then we find out that he's one of the criminal masters, isn't it, of that city?
Yeah, he's Bonyman. Yeah.
He's bony man, right? Yeah, yeah. So that is fun. I
It's
hope.
funny because one of the criminal masterminds is Manask, and the other one's Careno, who is like the soon-to-be Baron of Baneth. So both of Bakun's friends are actually the biggest criminals in their city.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah.
And Bakun like thinks about it like, oh, of course it had to be him, and not even surprised about it. Like, but Careno is actually a criminal baron.
Oh, poor Bakun. He's been hit with so many revelations throughout the book. Poor guy.
And well, what makes Manask? Would you like to point out things about Manask's appearance? Because
Oh.
I think the most hilarious thing about him is just yeah.
I mean, it's like obvious to everyone around him, isn't it? He's the only one who is fooled by his own armor and his hair and his shoes and all those things. Because everyone notices it. Everyone knows that this guy is faking it. So it's hilarious. He's like committed to the bit of being the opposite of a bony man. But yeah, Ipshank, I think we are neglecting because he is extremely similar to Greymane because he's betrayed all the gods he has ever prayed to, isn't it? Ipshank.
Kind of like that, yeah.
He betrayed what Fenner, and then the lady. Only two. I thought there was one more.
Oh, and then he goes to create his own god.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and I don't know what shape that religion is going to take because
I have no idea either.
it seems very unformed, isn't it? It's like choose life or something.
Something like that, yeah. It's interesting for sure. And
Yeah,
he seems very cognizant of the attempt of everyone else to like vilify him. Like, yeah, they probably say I eat children or like I extract sexual favors from people. Like, and like, yeah,
yeah,
whatever. They're gonna keep saying this because he has been part of the latest priesthood for years,
yeah,
and he's also extremely matter of fact in what he says. There
yeah,
is no hint of pleading, no commanding voice. It's like do this because do it. It's the right thing to do. You know, he says it's a real issue, but like, yeah, I wish I could say you were special, but you're not. You're just a
yeah,
guy, and I need your help. And Palace almost throws a baby off the fucking cliff because Village fell in. Like, yeah, don't do it. It's bad. Shouldn't do it.
yeah,
It's it's like a slap from reality, you know. And also because I'm reading the Wheel of Time, it's also like the slap in the fucking face of chosen ones. Like you're not actually important. You're just a guy, and that's more than fine. You're just not special, and that's okay. It's whatever.
Is that how it goes in Wheel of Time?
No, well, yes and no. It's like there's this notion called Tavaran, which is basically it's in-world chosen ones. It is ridiculous. It's canonical plot armor, and it's in-world chosen ones, and it's fun, but it's also frustrating to know that these guys are all just whatever. So who else is there? I know Zil has read the Wheel of Time, but I don't know if Zil listens to this. So I don't know. To whoever is listening has read Wheel of Time, yes, I am indeed trashing this series right now because I don't particularly like the Chosen One tropes. It is fun though. It's fine. It's a fun series. It's not bad.
Okay.
Right, and that's about Epstein. And we talked about Manask and how his antics and the fact he wears his armor to give him girth and has like extremely like bushy hair and wears heels. And who thinks of this stuff? Seriously,
Cam, Cam apparently.
like it's great.
Yeah, it's much funnier than I don't know. I like such type of physical comedy to read about because Pust and Shadow Throne and all they just talk and be funny. But I don't know. I find it way funnier when this guy gets stuck in a narrow alley because of his armor. He can't move. He tries to. I don't know. At the end, his hair comes off. And yeah, and then the whole reveal happens. So I don't know. It's really funny. So
Yeah.
right. So
So.
I'm very happy with the book, and I'm looking forward to Ob's Scepter Throne, which apparently we go back to the Rujistan.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be fun.
To his
Is there any?
great slipperiness, his high alchemicalness.
Hi.
That is an
Yeah.
absolutely amazing title.
Yeah.
Anyhow, in summary, I want to highlight a few themes I noticed in Stonewielder. There's obviously the colonialism and imperialism theme. There's the Malazan invaders, and there's the Corellian invaders. We've talked about this extensively. There is lying, falsehoods, manipulation from Greymane lies a lot to people for a whole host of different reasons. There's the lady whose entire faith is built on a lie. There's Ibshank, who also basically manipulated people and also, well, I guess he's the one that's been slandered in turn, not really slandering anyone else still. There's the theme of martyrdom that we touched upon earlier with Mardal, with Hiam and every Lord Protector before Hiam that died, like Ruel, for example, who has a tower named after him because he saw the end arrive and then jumped off the tower and became a martyr for essentially what should have been a warning.
Yeah.
There's betrayal. There is what else is there? Mora.
I no, I was more hung up on the religious aspect of it, of the whole thing, because
Mm-hmm.
that seemed extremely more stressed upon than anything else. Like how exactly these religions begin and how people tend to, make it worse, isn't it? Like we're just seeing Ivan's pacifist religion starting, and already we see that these young recruits, fresh from the army of the reform, they have different goals, isn't it? They want it to be a training ground and learn sword fighting and things like that. So it's only up to his to some extent he'll be able to maintain a pacifist religion. At some point it's going to turn, and maybe the same thing happened with the lady and the stone wall and all that, because at first it was just people out of devotion going and standing the wall, but obviously that's not the way
Yes.
it happens now, isn't it? So they have to
Yep.
they just capture ships, they capture Malassans and put them on the wall. They just chain them to the wall and things like that. So there is a decline. No matter how noble these things start, there's going to be some decline somewhere. It's a very cynical view, isn't it?
I think it's cynical, sure, but I also think it's realistic. I think it's a fairly accurate portrayal on one hand, and on the other hand, it's also ties into our other episode that we did on the Redeemer and stuff about the perversions and the decline of faith, of organized faith and religion, rather.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that their faith is built on, it's also that the Corelli are, well, actively having to fight something like the Riders. It's difficult. It has its own difficulties along with it, and the fact they can persevere for however long they did on a faith that's built on a lie without any magic is a testament to how skilled and good they actually are, even if
Yeah.
their faith is built on horrible lies, which Hiam discovers, and we can see that they're not bad people. Hiam's not a bad person. Quint isn't a bad person. Yeah, they're devoted, but when Hiam discovers the truth and he looks behind and sees that wow, we did all of these things for her, and this is how she repays us, and I'm going to now, she says, jump off the cliff and die for me. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it for you. And then he does so anyway. Because in his head, he's dying to join all the other people that have done on the wall.
Yeah.
So it is cynical, but it also has hope. It's a multifaceted approach in the notion of faith, which I think is really interesting. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, I found that interesting. But can I just say, I'm reading the novellas now, and I'm reading Healthy Dead, and there is a lady there. I'm not sure if it's this lady or some other lady, but they have a cult of the lady, and the whole thing. I think Boschland has a long, thing about how being self-righteous leads to the end of civilization. It's pretty hilarious to read. So once
Oh
people
boy.
start believing in something, that's inevitably it's going to cause the end of civilization.
Oh
It's a
boy.
great book, and I really enjoy that I'm reading it right after Stonewielder.
I have a feeling we might need to touch upon that in the future. What with like Tarsa and Traveler and Boschelin apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe not now.
About
Anyway,
civilization, you mean? Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yep. So now I'm sure there's a lot of things we missed, but this is probably been it for us for now.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in any case, thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mora, for joining me.
Thanks, Lee, for finally finishing the book and being able to discuss it with me. But yeah, I look forward to Obsceptor Throne. Let's see.
Yep, sounds good.
Right. Bye.
So yeah, bye.